The reason why I say that is because once you start making the foot larger and larger, sometimes it's hard to get the stuffing down into the paw itself or the foot itself. So I just add a little bit right now, and then I continue making one single crochet into every stitch for 22 rounds. And then once we finish the rest of the rounds, then you can add more craft stuffing before we close the leg. So now, after you finish 22 rounds of one single crochet in every stitch, this is how the foot looks. Then you can take and add craft stuffing, and you can add more stuffing as you close the leg. So now we're going to make decrease rounds, or decrease the number of stitches in the round until the leg is closed. So go ahead and move your yarn marker up to where you left off. And then you're going to make one single crochet into 6 stitches. And then you're going to single crochet 2 stitches together. Or a decreased stitch. So go ahead, repeat that pattern all the way around. One single crochet into 6 stitches, and then single crochet 2 stitches together. Repeat that pattern all the way around back to the yarn marker. Now when I reached the yarn marker, I had made one single crochet into 6 stitches. Go ahead and make your single crochet 2 stitches together. Even though you reached your yarn marker, go ahead and finish up with a single crochet 2 stitches together. Then you could take and move your yarn marker up. So now I have 33 stitches in the round. And then for this next decrease round, you're going to make one single crochet into 5 stitches. And then single crochet 2 stitches together. And then you're going to repeat that pattern all the way around back to the yarn marker. One single crochet into 5 stitches, and then single crochet 2 stitches together. Repeat that pattern all the way around back to the yarn marker. You'll notice that as you make your decrease rounds, you'll always end, because of the way that I started with the 6, one single crochet in 6 and then decrease, I am ending right before the yarn marker with my one single crochet into the number that you're on. So now I have one single crochet into 5 stitches, and you're going to always end with a single crochet 2 stitches together, even if you reach the yarn marker. So go ahead and finish with a single crochet 2 stitches together. And then just move your yarn marker up, and then you're going to decrease in chronological order. So the next one will be one single crochet into 4 stitches. And then you're going to single crochet 2 stitches together. And then, like I said, you can add craft stuffing as you close. I'm going to add a little bit more, but this next decrease round will be one single crochet into 4 stitches, and then single crochet 2 stitches together, repeating that pattern all the way around. So when you're adding your craft stuffing, just be careful that you don't overstuff the foot to where you have very wide gaps between your crochet stitches. So then you just take and move. You can see how the hole is getting gradually smaller and smaller, which is what you want. I just ended the round with a single crochet 2 stitches together. Go ahead and move your yarn marker up, and then you're going to make one single crochet into 3 stitches. And then you're going to single crochet 2 stitches together. And then you're going to repeat that pattern all the way around back to the yarn marker. Then this is what my work looks like so far. Move your yarn marker up, and then make one single crochet into 2 stitches, and then single crochet 2 stitches together, repeating that pattern all the way around back to the yarn marker. Then you can see how you're almost closed. you're going to make one single crochet into one stitch and then single crochet 2 stitches together, and then repeat that pattern all the way around. Then you can see how you're almost closed. Now you can just go ahead and slip stitch it closed. So you can just skip a stitch, go into the next stitch, just yarn over, turn the hook upside down, and then bring the yarn through both loops for a slip stitch. And you're just going to continue slip stitching until the hole is completely closed. So now I'm completely closed. I'm going to go ahead and finish off. Just yarn over and just pull enough yarn through to bury into your work. So now you can take and bury the loose yarn end with your tapestry needle. So just take your tapestry needle, place the loose yarn end on the tapestry needle, and go in right where you finished off and come out anywhere. And then just kind of pull the loose yarn end snugly, and then you can trim it. And now you have a finished leg. So you're going to need 4 of these alpaca legs. They're all made the same way, and then come back. So now after you finish all 4 of the legs, you're going to take 2 of them and we're going to sew them onto the body. And for me, I like to use my Dritz home upholstery needles. I use the 12-inch one. It just makes it a lot easier to sew the legs in place. And then you just get the same colored yarn as the main color as your alpaca, and then just put a lot of it onto the needle because you're going to go through the legs and the body twice. So I always make sure that I get enough to go through the legs and the body twice. And then you're going to take one of the legs first, and always make sure that the toenails are facing forward. And then you're just going to go from the top of the leg about 4 rounds down, 4 to 5 rounds down, and you're going to go right in the side of the leg. And you want to come out on the opposite side at the same level. So make sure you're at the same level, and then you come out on the opposite side. And then just bring the yarn through, and you want to leave enough yarn for tying a knot and burying the loose yarn end. And now you're ready to go through the body. So now you want to position the leg on the body. And so I line up the top of the leg so that the yarn will go through about midway on the body. And you also want it to be in line with the ear. So I use the imaginary line from the ear down to line up the leg. So you can see about where this is the front of the body with my thumb pointing. And I have the leg lined up. And then once you know where you want to enter the body, about halfway, just mark it with your thumb. And then that's where you're going to enter the body with your needle. So you just take your needle and then you just go right through, and you're going to come out on the opposite side at the same level. So the opposite side of the body at the same level. So then you can see how I come out on the opposite side with my long needle. This is how the upholstery needle is actually more helpful than the tapestry needle, because you'd have to squeeze it with the tapestry needle and bring it through the body. So this is much easier, which is why I would recommend using it. Then you just pull the yarn through until you have about a couple of inches between the foot and the body. Then you're going to take and go through the other leg, so you just get the other leg, and again you want to make sure that the front toenails are facing forward, and then you're going to go through the side top portion of the leg and then come out on the opposite side at the same level. So you just bring it through, And again, I usually leave about 1 to 2 inches of yarn between the body and the leg. Then you're just going to go right back through, and I usually go about a stitch over. So, or a stitch under or a stitch over. So I'm going to go a stitch under and then go back through. You want to be careful not to cross your yarn or go through your yarn, because you're going to have to pull and cinch the leg against the body. So you want to be able to have the yarn pull the leg to the body. And you can see I'm about a stitch away from where I had entered the leg. And then you just bring the yarn through. And then you're going to go back through the body. So again, on the body, I'm going to go about a stitch over. In this case, I'm going to go a stitch below. And then I'm going to go right back through the body and exit the opposite side a stitch away from where I had entered the body. So you can see how I have plenty of yarn that I allowed to work with. And then I'm just going to leave a couple of inches from the other leg. And then I'm going to go through, make sure you don't pull this yarn through. You don't want it to go through and lose that yarn. And then you're just going to go right back through the leg, a stitch. I went a stitch below, and then I'm going to come out on the opposite side a stitch away from where I first entered. And you're going to repeat this whole process one more time. So you're going to go right back in about a stitch over and repeat this whole process one more time. And you can see how I'm a stitch away from where my other two are. So go ahead, finish repeating the process one more time, and then come back. Then, after you finished going through twice, you can see I have 4 strands of yarn between the leg and the body on both sides. Then you can take the 2 loose yarn ends that you have, and then you're just going to gently pull on the 2 loose yarn ends, bringing the legs against the body. You're cinching the legs against the body. And if you meet any resistance, don't keep yanking it harder because you may snap the yarn. Just let go of the yarn and pull on one yarn strand at a time. And just keep pulling on it, cinching the legs to the body. And then you want to double check and make sure that you don't have any loops of yarn still remaining between the body and the leg, which I don't. And then some people don't like the dimpling, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you how to make the dimple covers. So don't worry about the dimpling, just gently snug the legs, cinch the legs against the body, and then once you're happy with how the legs look on the body, I'm just going to gently pull on both again. Then you can go ahead and tie a knot. So then I just tie a knot to secure it, and I like to do a triple knot. And then you can cut the yarn so that you have smaller loose yarn ends, but you still need enough of a loose yarn end to bury into your work. So I usually just cut it and leave enough to bury. And then you just take your tapestry needle and then just put the loose yarn end onto your tapestry needle, and then you're going to go right in where you tied your knot, and then you're going to come out on the opposite side under the leg, and then just gently pull on the loose yarn end to bury it, and then just gently cut the loose yarn end. And then you have your movable legs. So this is how mine looks in the front. And then later I'm going to show you how to make the dimple cover to cover up the dimple if you want to. Then you just attach the back legs the exact same way. Just make sure that the toenails are facing forward and that the dimples line up. So you don't want one dimple up here and one dimple down here, or one dimple down here. You want the dimple in line so that the alpaca can stand properly and that the feet are not crooked. So for mine, you can see about how far I went with mine, and you can see that I'm going into the body in line with the dimple on my front legs. And then you want to come out on the opposite side of the body at the same level on the back in line with the front dimple on the front legs. So this is what it looks like when I'm finished attaching it. So you can see the distance that I put the back legs from the back of the body. And she's able to stand perfectly. And you can see the dimples on the movable legs. So I'm going to show you how to make these beautiful dimple covers. Looks gorgeous. So now I'm going to show you how to make the dimple cover. You just take your yarn, the beige colored yarn, or the same color as the main color for your alpaca, and we're going to start with the magic circle. So we're making the magic circle the same way that we've done before, and you're going to make your slip knot. But now we're not going to make single crochets into the magic circle. We're actually going to make what are called puff stitches. So to make your first puff stitch, you're going to yarn over, and you're going to go into the magic circle and then bring up a loop. And you want to bring that loop up about 1 centimeter. So now I have 3 loops on my hook. Then you're going to yarn over again and then go into the loop and bring up another loop. And now you have 5 loops. Bring up the loop about 1 centimeter. So I have 5 loops on the hook, and then you're going to yarn over for the last time. Go into the magic circle and bring up another loop and just bring it up about 1 centimeter. So now I have 7 loops on my hook. Then I'm going to yarn over, turn the hook upside down, and go through all 7 loops for a puff stitch. Then you can go ahead and chain 1, and then you just completed your first puff stitch. And we're going to make 7 of these into the magic circle. So I'm just going to show you a couple more. So I'm going to yarn over, go into the magic circle, bring up a loop, and then just gently bring up the loop so that it's even with the other loops on your hook. So I have 3 loops on my hook. I'm going to yarn over, go into the magic circle, bring up a loop, and then I'm going to pull up on my crochet hook to bring the loop up. So now I have 5 loops on my hook, and then I'm going to yarn over, go into the magic circle, bring up a loop, bring it up so that the loops are all even. I have 7 loops on the hook, yarn over, turn the hook upside down, and go through all 7. Oop, I dropped it, so I'm going to try that again. Uh-oh, some sirens in the background. So now I'm going to yarn over and then bring the yarn through all the loops. Then I'm going to chain 1, and that will complete my second puff stitch. So now I'm just going to make 1 more with you. Yarn over, go into the magic circle, bring up a loop, pull it up so that it's even with my other loops. Go into the magic circle, pull it up so it's even with my other loops. And you're doing it a total of 3 times. And then you have 7 loops on your hook, yarn over, turn the hook upside down, and go through all 7 for a puff stitch, and then chain 1. So now I have 3 of them. So go ahead, finish a total of 7 puff stitch in the magic circle, and then come back. So now I have a total of 7 puff stitches in the magic circle, and then you're going to grab the base of the 7 puff stitches with your forefinger and your thumb, just like you did before for magic circle, and you have those 2 loops on the opposite side. Go ahead and pull on one of them. If it doesn't close, let go and pull on the other one. Don't worry if it doesn't close completely. You can always close it more later. Then take that loose yarn end and pull on that. And then you have 7 puff stitches in a circle. And then you're going to make a puff stitch into the first stitch. So right now you should have 12 stitches in the round because you chained 1. So then you just yarn over, go into that first stitch. Yeah, that'll be the first one. And then bring up a loop. So you're going to make your puff stitches the same way. And then don't forget to chain 1. And then you're just going to make a puff stitch in every stitch around. I'm just going to make a couple of them with you. So in every stitch you're going to make a puff stitch. You can see how I'm pulling up the loops. And then yarn over and go through all loops and then chain 1 to complete your puff stitch. I'll make one more with you, so I'm going to go in the next stitch over. And I'm making 1 puff stitch in every stitch in the round. And then you're going to continue making 1 puff stitch in every stitch until you've completed 3 total rounds. So here's your first one. I'm working on my second one, and then I'm going to make 1 more round. So you can see how I finished 1 round, and then this is my second round, and I'm just going to continue making puff stitches in every stitch until I've completed 3 rounds. And you can make your dimple cover as small or as large as you want. You just keep making your puff stitches into every stitch until you have the size that you want. Then once you've finished your 3rd round and you're happy with the size that you have for your dimple cover, go ahead and make a slip stitch into the next stitch over. Just yarn over and pull the yarn through both loops on the hook for a slip stitch. Then go ahead and finish off. Just yarn over and pull enough yarn through to sew the dimple cover in place on the leg. Then just take your tapestry needle and the long end that you left for sewing, go ahead and place that on your tapestry needle. Then with the smaller loose yarn end, just kind of tuck that into the inside of the dimple cover on the wrong side. And then you have the right side showing. And then you're just going to place it right over the dimple on the leg. And I usually put the side where I finished off towards the bottom of the leg or towards the toenail. And then I put the top portion right over, I center it over the dimple. Let me just kind of bring back the, there we go. So here's the top of the leg. So you can see how I just place it right over the dimple. And then this is where I finished off, and this is towards the bottom of the leg. And then just take and sew, just go in and out around the border of the dimple cover, and then just sew it in place. And then you just tie a knot when you get back to where you started, and then bury the loose yarn end. So then this is what the dimple cover looks like. It looks gorgeous. So now I'm going to show you how to make the tail. So you can just make these dimple covers to cover each of the dimples on each of the legs. So you should have 1 for each, which would be 4. And now I'm going to show you how to make the tail. So now you want to get your beige colored yarn, or the same colored yarn as the main color is your alpaca. And we're going to start with a chain. So just take and fold the yarn over on itself to form a loop. Take your crochet hook, go right through the loop, hold the base of the loop with your middle finger and thumb, then yarn over, turn the hook upside down, and go through the loop for a slip knot. Go ahead and cinch that knot down and cinch the loop around your crochet hook. Then you're going to make a chain. You're going to make a chain of 25. I'm just going to show you 4 of them on video tutorial. Just yarn over, turn the hook upside down, and go through the loop for 1, 2, 3, 4. So go ahead, finish a chain of 25 and then come back. So after you make your chain of 25, then you're going to slip stitch it into a circle. So go ahead and make a slip stitch into the first chain that you made. Just go right into that first chain. And then you're going to yarn over and then bring the yarn through both loops on the hook for a slip stitch. So now you have it slip stitched into a chain. Then you're going to chain 1, and then you're going to make 1 single crochet into the next stitch, and you're going to make 1 single crochet into every stitch around until you've completed 7 rounds. So 7 rounds of 1 single crochet in every stitch around. And as you're crocheting, you want to be working on the outside. So you kind of turn the work so that you're working on the outside. So go ahead, finish making 1 single crochet in every stitch around for 7 rounds, and then come back. So then after you make your 7 rounds of 1 single crochet in every stitch, this is how your work should look. Then we're going to make a decrease round. So just place the yarn marker right where you left off, and you're going to make 1 single crochet into the next 4 stitches, and then you're going to single crochet 2 stitches together, and then you're going to repeat that pattern all the way around back to the yarn marker, 1 single crochet into 4 stitches, and then single crochet 2 stitches together, repeating that pattern all the way around back to the yarn marker. Then you should only have 1 stitch remaining before the yarn marker. Go ahead and just make 1 single crochet into the remaining stitch, then move the yarn marker up, and then you're just going to make 1 single crochet in every stitch around for 1 round. So I had 21 stitches after finishing that round, and now we're going to make 1 more decrease round. So you're going to take and move your yarn marker up to where you left off, and for this decrease round you're going to make 1 single crochet into 3 stitches, and then you're going to single crochet 2 stitches together, and then you're just going to repeat that pattern all the way around back to the yarn marker, 1 single crochet into 3 stitches, and then single crochet 2 stitches together, repeating that pattern all the way around. And then just make a single crochet into the last remaining stitch, move the yarn marker up, and then just make 1 single crochet in every stitch around for 1 round. So I finished with 17 stitches in the round after that round. Then we're going to make another decrease round. So you're just going to move your yarn marker up to where you left off. And for this decrease round, you're going to make 1 single crochet into 2 stitches. And then you're going to single crochet 2 stitches together. And then you're going to repeat that pattern all the way around back to the yarn marker. 1 single crochet into 2 stitches, and then single crochet 2 stitches together, repeating that pattern all the way around. So again, I put a single crochet into the remaining stitch for the round, and then you're just going to make 1 single crochet in every stitch around for only 1 round. So now you can see how smaller the hole is getting, and then just move your yarn marker up And then for the last decrease round, you're just going to make 1 single crochet into the first stitch, and then you're going to single crochet 2 stitches together. And then repeat that pattern all the way around back to the yarn marker. So now you can see that you're almost closed. Go ahead and leave your yarn marker where it is and just make 1 round of 1 single crochet in every stitch around. So just 1 round of 1 single crochet in every stitch. I'm just going to work this with you. And then once we get back to the yarn marker, we're going to remove the yarn marker and then just slip stitch it closed. So now I'm back to the yarn marker. I'm going to go ahead and remove the yarn marker, and then I'm going to go ahead and skip a stitch, go into the next stitch over, and then just yarn over, turn the hook upside down and bring the yarn through both loops on the hook for a slip stitch. And I'm going to continue to slip stitch all the way around until the tip of the tail is closed. Then I'm going to go ahead and finish off, just yarn over and just pull enough yarn through to bury into your work. Now you can get your tapestry needle, then just put it right onto the loose yarn end. Then go right where you finished off and go right down the center without poking yourself. And then just grab your tapestry needle and bring the loose yarn end in towards the inside of the tail. Then your tail is ready to sew in place on the back of the alpaca. So now on the back of the alpaca, you want to take the flat open part of the tail, tuck the loose yarn end in towards the inside, and then you want to lay the tail where you want it to be on the alpaca. So I'm putting it right on the end. This is what mine looks like. And then once you have it positioned where you want it, make sure that it's centered. You don't want it crooked. And then once it's centered, take your tapestry needle and you're just going to go through. Make sure you grab both of the open ends and then just sew the tail onto the back of the alpaca. So this is what my tail looks like after sewing it on the back of the alpaca. Now I'm going to show you how to make the fur that covers the tail. So now you want to switch back to your 6mm crochet hook, and you're going to take your pink colored fur or whatever color fur that you're using for your alpaca, and you're going to fold the yarn over on itself to form a loop. Take your crochet hook, go right through the loop, hold the base of the loop with your middle finger and your thumb, and then just yarn over, turn the hook upside down and bring the yarn through the loop for your slip knot. Go ahead and cinch that knot down and then cinch the loop around your crochet hook loosely. You don't want it too tight. Then you're going to make a chain of 8. So just yarn over, turn the hook upside down and go through the loop for 1, and you could pull up slightly on the hook because you don't want your stitches to be too tight or your chains to be too tight. So that was my first chain, second chain, third, fourth, fifth, sixth, seventh, and eighth. So now I'm going to count 4 stitches back so you can kind of feel. So here's the first stitch, the second, third, and here's about where the 4th stitch would be. Just yarn over and go into that stitch for your second double crochet. And again, if you don't get the exact number of stitches, it's okay because no one's going to be able to see anyway. So this first couple stitches that you skipped would count as your first double crochet. We just made our second double crochet, and then you're just going to evenly space. You want to have approximately 5 double crochet. So you yarn over, go into the next stitch for your third, and then the next stitch for your fourth, and then the next stitch for your last one. So I have approximately 5 double crochet. It doesn't have to be perfect. Then you're going to chain 3. 1, 2, 3, and then turn your work. And then for this row, you want to have approximately 7 double crochet. So I'm going to try to double crochet into the same stitch. So I'm just going to yarn over, go into the same stitch for my second double crochet. And then I'm going to try to make 3 double crochet in the center. So there's 1, 2, and I'm just guesstimating, and 3. And then I want 2 double crochet on the end. So you just yarn over, go into the end stitch, and make 2 double crochet into the end stitch. Then you're going to chain 3 again. 1, 2, 3. Turn your work, and then you're just going to make the same number of double crochets. So I want about 7. So you just make approximately 7, just evenly space them. That's my third. Here's my 4th, 5th, 6th, and then my last one, the 7th. Then you can go ahead and just finish off. Just yarn over and just pull enough yarn through to sew the tail onto the alpaca. Then just take your tapestry needle and you're going to take the fur tail that you just made and just lay it onto the back of the alpaca's tail. And then you're just going to sew it in place. So you can go through the back of the tail if you want to. It's just going to put some fur on the back of the tail. And then just sew all around the border, just securing the fur onto the tail. And then for mine, I just finished where my loose yarn end was, and then I'm just going to tie a knot. And then you can just trim the hair. And then it just blends right in to the fur on the tail. So now I'm going to show you how I made the 2 fur strips for around the belly. For the fur around the body, I started with a chain of 63, and this chain measures approximately 22 inches. And then you just work it the same way. You make a double crochet into the 4th chain from the hook. So you're going to make it the same way that you did for the fur rings that went around the neck. The only difference is this one is longer to fit around the belly. So you're going to make 2 rows of 1 double crochet in every stitch, just like we did for the fur ring around the neck. So the only difference is I started with a chain of 63. So when you're finished making the fur ring that goes around the body, you want to place it right next to the neck ring fur, and then you're going to start sewing on the bottom of the belly. So you want to make sure that the yarn is not twisted, the fur ring is not twisted. And then, just like you did for the neck rings, you're going to sew the 2 ends together on the bottom of the body. And then you're just going to take and sew down the center of the fur ring all the way around. So back here on the back of the neck, my head is standing up straight, which is how I want it, so it's pretty secure. But one of the things to secure the head is you can take and pull the head, the fur on the head back, and then secure it to the fur around the body, and then that helps to hold the head up securely too if you need to. So this is what it looks like after I sewed the first one on. And then I just sewed one more, made one more just like this one, and then sewed it right behind it. So now for the fur around the feet, I started with a chain of 25, and it measures approximately 9 inches in length. And then you just make it the same way. You just double crochet into the 4th chain from the hook, and then just make 1 double crochet in every stitch back across, just like you did for the neck and the body fur rings. And then you're going to make 2 rows of 1 double crochet in every stitch, so the exact same way that you did for the neck and the body rings, except you started with a chain of 25 for the feet fur ring. So then you have your fur. This is what it looks like, and you're going to wrap it around. Make sure it's not twisted, and then you're going to start sewing it down the center from the back, just like you did for the other rings. If you have trouble loading your fur onto your tapestry needle, the DMC yarn threader hook works great. So a little trick with that. And then you can see how I just wrap it around the foot towards the bottom, and then I just sew the 2 ends together just like I did for the neck and the body. Just take and sew the 2 ends together. And then I just go right down the center and then sew it in place. So then you just place a fur ringlet all around each of the legs on the same area. So now I'm going to show you how to make the ring that goes in the front if you want to place the fur on the front. So the first thing you're going to do is take your yarn and then fold it over on itself to form a loop. Take your 6mm crochet hook, go right through the loop, hold the base of the loop with your middle finger and your thumb. Then yarn over, turn the hook upside down, and go through the loop for your slip knot. Go ahead and cinch that knot down, and then you can loosely put the yarn loop around your crochet hook, and then you're going to make a chain of 5. So yarn over, turn the hook upside down, and go through the loop for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Then after you finish your chain of 5, you're going to take your crochet hook and you're going to go right into that first chain that you made, and then you're going to slip stitch the yarn into a circle. So you just yarn over, turn the hook upside down, and bring the yarn through both loops for a slip stitch, and then you'll see that there's a hole in the center. So make sure you know where that hole is in the center after you make your slip stitch. Then you're going to make double crochet, make 6 double crochet into, actually you can go ahead and make 12. Make 12 double crochet right into the center. So yarn over, go right in the center of the circle, bring up a loop, make a double crochet, and then you're going to make 12 double crochet into the center. So with this style of yarn, you could use the magic circle, but it's very, very difficult, and I find this method to work much better, much easier. So there's 5. And there's so much fur that they're not going to be able to see the center of the circle anyway. So go ahead, finish making 12 double crochet into the center of the magic circle. And actually this is not a magic circle, into the center of the circle, and then come back. So now I have 12 double crochet into the center of the magic circle, and then I'm just going to slip stitch, try to find the opening there to the first chain 3 that you made, and then just make a slip stitch, and then chain 3, 1, 2, 3, and you can see how my work looks. Then you're just going to make 2 double crochet in every stitch around. So you're just going to kind of guesstimate, and then you can count 2. You have 3, And I'm making 2 double crochet into every stitch. So I'm just kind of guessing where the stitch is. And then by the time you get to here, you should have about 12. And then you can make 2 more in every stitch back around to make 24. And actually, it'll be 24 this way and then 24 this way. So for 48, because we had 12 to start. So I have 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. This yarn has a lot of knots tied in it, but it doesn't matter because you're not going to be able to see it anyway. But I noticed that the yarn has a lot of knots in it, which wasn't like my last skein, but it doesn't affect it all. It's still coming out okay. And you don't have to be perfect, just like before. You just want it to lie flat. So you just make try to make 2 double crochets in every stitch the best you can, and don't worry if you have the stitch count correct or not. I'm just making sure that I have a lot of stitches so that it lies flat. You don't want it curling up like a cup. You want it flat. And so you just make 2 double crochet in every stitch, trying to create a lot of stitches to keep the fur flat. And then you can see that I'm almost back to where I started. If you have trouble seeing where you started, you could leave a yarn marker there too, and that will help you keep track of where you are. The other thing about this yarn is they tuck the beginning strand way in the center with a big, huge clump of yarn. So you'll see what I'm talking about if you use this yarn, and it comes right out of the center. So it doesn't affect how I use the yarn that much, but it's just different than from my other yarn skeins that I use. So now you can see I'm almost back. So this yarn really isn't as difficult. It looks very difficult to crochet with, but as you can see, it's really not that difficult. You're just kind of guessing. You don't have to worry about the stitches because the fur makes it so where you can't even see the stitches anyway. So, and it's still laying flat. It looks great. And for those of you that aren't that good at it, you could stop here if you wanted to. So I'm going to slip stitch into the first stitch that I started with. And then you can just finish off and sew it in place if you want it. But I'm going to make one more. So I'm going to chain 3. So I'm going to make one more round because I love how soft this is, and I want a really soft circle for the front of my alpaca. So again, I'm going to make 2 double crochet in every stitch, and that's just making sure that my fur is going to lay flat. And that's how you make the center fur. So it's that easy to make. And it looks really hard, and it's really soft and easy to make. So now you can see how I finished my last round, and I'm back to where I started. I'm going to go ahead and just make a slip stitch into that first chain 3 that I made. Then I'm going to finish off, just yarn over and pull enough yarn through to sew the circle onto the front of the alpaca's chest, of the body. Then you can just take and place the circle of fur on the front of the body, and then you're going to sew with your tapestry needle all around the border and sew it in place. So you can put it up as high as you want, and then just take and sew it in place.